Hey, hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and you know what I'm going to say. I love it so much that I'm in your earbuds right now. Thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. And guess what? Today's guest is super awesome. Tiff is one of those people who I actually have never had a conversation in real life with until we started recording this podcast. And it was super, super fun and amazing. Tiffany actually has her own podcast, and we decided to swap interviews for each other's shows. And so we hopped on Zoom, and immediately I was like, oh man, I want this lady to be my best friend. Like, seriously, we align so much when it comes to the energy that we put off, when it comes to the values that we hold, when it comes to our approach to business marketing and social media. It was such a wonderful conversation where literally we both just kept throwing up our like raising our hands in the air emoji type of style, right? Because we were just so on board with everything that each other was saying. And she is just such a sweet woman. She's an amazing mama, and she has so much goodness and knowledge nuggets to give in this conversation. I know you're going to love it. And if you do, make sure that you screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram stories and tag both of us. Both of our Instagrams are linked in the show notes below. If you tag us, we will totally reshare it. We would love to give you a follow and connect with you over on Instagram, spread some love right back to you. And I just cannot wait to hear what you think about this conversation because it is so wonderful. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. Hi, Tiffany. Oh my goodness, lady. I am so excited to bring you on the Feel Good Social podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the show, honey.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes. Well, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve?
Yeah, so I am in the social selling space and I got started about 7 years ago. So I had no idea what I was doing when I first got started, but I really love the idea of having the flexibility to create and build a business online. To me, as someone who grew up with parents who were both entrepreneurs and who had so much flexibility in their lives and in their days. I remember going to school and my mom being able to like come bring me lunch in the middle of the day or, come to all of my class parties and all of those things. And so I kind of always wanted to have that same thing when I started a family, which at the time I didn't have any kids, but I was always like thinking about that in the back of my mind. But I didn't really have any like special skills or like anything that I could like go like start a business. Like I couldn't like go start a restaurant or like open a hair salon or like anything like that in my mind, which is what I thought about, you know, when I thought about entrepreneurs. I'm like, oh, you need to have like a special skill or be able to do something really well in order to open this business in entrepreneurship. And 7 years ago, I had no idea what, you know, social selling was, you know, and so it kind of fell into my lap. One of my friends was sharing about what she was doing in the health and fitness industry, you know, showing up online, sharing on social media. And she was like, you can do this too. And I was like, what? That sounds super cool. So that's how I got started. And for a lot of those 7 years, I feel like running this never ending marathon of just trying to figure out what the heck I was doing. And it was exhausting, to be completely honest. And there were so many times where I just completely burned out and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, this is too much. And I would say probably about 2 years ago, I really just had this like aha awakening moment where I was like, what if I didn't do it the way everyone else is doing it? You know, like what if I just tried to do it in a way that works for me? Like, could I still be successful even if I'm not doing it the way that all the gurus are telling you that you need to do it? And so I just took this different approach to showing up online, showing up on social media. And it completely changed not only my business, but my life, because now I have 2 kids and my husband was at a place where he was like, you are going to have to like not be on social media all the time. Like you need to be paying attention to your family because your head is in your phone 24/7. And I knew it, but hearing it from him, it was like, oh, like punch in the gut, like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, yeah, like I can't do it this way anymore. And so, you know, having that shift and being able to just really set set my own rules really for what social media was going to look like for me and my business, it was such a game changer. And so I am just super excited to chat with you a little bit more about this. I know we have such a good vibe on all things social media and just really like the way that we love to do things.
Oh my gosh, totally. Like, I know everything you're saying. I'm like, heck yeah, heck yeah. And exactly. It's so relatable too. Like so many of us go through that period of like trying to figure out how to do business and listening to all the gurus. And I always feel like I'm just being like, like, I feel like I'm being slapped in the forehead with like all these different ideas from all these different people. Like, you should do this. You have to do this. You can't do that. Don't do this, you know? And it's like, confusing. And I feel like I'm one of those cartoon characters, like spinning around.
Your head is just like,
yeah. And I love that too. You know, I'd love to hear how it felt when you finally made that decision to say, you know what, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to figure out what works for me. Cause I think that a lot of people think it's going to be scary, and it is kind of scary. But in my experience, like as soon as I did it, I was like, oh heck yeah. And like my confidence like shot up in a way.
1000%. It's scary because we've been taught that like, if you want to be successful on social media, you have to be consistent and you have to be showing up all the time and you have to be on and all those things. And so I think there's this fear that if I'm not doing it this way, if I'm not on social media 24/7, if I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, that I'm not going to be successful, that my business is going to crash, that I'm going to become like black hole on social media. Nobody's going to be paying attention to me anymore. And nobody's going to engage with me anymore if I'm not on there 24/7. And so there was that fear there for sure. But once I realized like this actually works and I feel so much better, I was like, man, why isn't everyone doing this? And now I am at a place where like, if I see someone like yesterday, actually, I saw like a really popular social media guru, like specifically Instagram, talks about reels all the time. And he was sharing like his day, like what his day looks like on social media. And he was like, I post 3 reels a day and I, engage with 100 people and I'm this and that and that. And like, I looked in the comments and all these people were like, oh my gosh, yes, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, it just makes me cringe because I'm like, guys, that's so much. That's so much. It's not sustainable. And also like, we all have so different lifestyles. Like this guy here, he has like probably like a team of people who are doing, half the stuff for him. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have like anything else. This is his full-time job, is to be on social media and selling to you and making you feel like that's what you need to do too. And so you can buy his thing and, feel like that's what you need to be doing too. And it's just like, no.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Like, seeing that made my like chest like clench up because I'm like, that just feels so restricting.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, lady. I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm pretty sure.
Because like, I know the exact reel.
I know. And it's one of those things, it's like a lot of social media marketers are like that online. A lot of those big name people, a lot of entrepreneurs, big name people are online. Speaking to the people who are just starting out and trying to connect with them and trying to relate with them and trying to tell them exactly what they need to do, but it's not doable.
It's
right?
not doable. It's not duplicatable for so many people. I think like so many marketers and like coaches and, people who are like trying to sell to social sellers, they have this mindset of like, if I can do it, you can do it too. Like it's duplicatable. Like I'm going to give you exactly what I do. Here's the step-by-step thing. But like they're speaking to the person who has a full-time job and social media is just like their side hustle. And they don't have all the extra hours in a day that that person has. And like, that's their one full-time job. And that's of course, like if you have all day to do something like, 3 reels might not be a lot for you. If you can like just record the reel and then send it to your editor and they edit for you. And then like your VA posts it for you. And then like your copywriter writes the caption. Like it's, if you have like all these people helping you and supporting you in those areas, and not that that's a bad thing, like great for you. If you have like that team that supports you, like that's amazing. And I like pray to God that one day, like I'll be in the place where I can have a team and I can just record content and do the part of this business that I love and lights me up and like pass all the other pieces off to someone else too. Like amazing. But at the same time, you can't tell other people, or not necessarily you can't, but like, I feel like it's wrong to tell other people that this is what I'm doing and this is what's made me successful and make them feel like that's what's going to be the same for them. They're going to get the same result if they just follow what you're doing. And now you have people who are feeling like I can barely post 1 reel a day. You are posting 3. There's no way I'm going to be successful. There's no way I'm going to be able to have, what I desire on social media because just posting 1 reel a day is a lot for me. And so now these people are feeling insecure and they're feeling, doubtful. They're feeling shameful. They're like beating themselves up when really it's just like, that's not even what it is. And then it's also like, okay, say you do post that 1 reel a day now. And at some point it's going to be like, let me just post this reel because I got to get a reel up. And it's just like, I would so much rather a person post content that is like potent and packs a punch and is like really juicy and to just post and throw something up just so they can check the box off the list.
Oh my gosh. Totally. Preach, girl. I mean, like, seriously. Also, what bothers me about this too? Tell me what you think about this. And also as like a social seller, you might have like a little bit of a different perspective on this, but I always remind my people, I work with like tons of people in tons of different industries and all that jazz. And I'm always the one to say like, I understand that social media is not your number one priority in your business.
Yes.
Like, is that actually what's going to move the needle the most? Like it comes kind of back to the ego thing and all that different stuff. And it's how can you create a plan that's doable for you? Like, let's take a look at your lifestyle, your brand, your ideal customers, and let's figure out what content is easiest, most joyful for you to create, and also is going to get you the best results without wasting that time,
Absolutely. I think I was actually just talking to one of my clients about this yesterday, and we were talking about the ROI, the return on the investment, because I think sometimes we equate actions to, like results. And so we're like, if I just do more activities, if I just do more actions in my business, then that's going to get me better results. And so that's where like that hustle mentality comes from. It's like, do more, keep going, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
When really, I think if we thought about it as like, what's the return on my investment on this action? Like, is this action actually going to bring me results? Because if you look at it that way, then you can be like, oh, well, I'm wasting a lot of time doing a bunch of actions that really aren't that valuable, that really aren't that important to my business. So then you can, like you said, create that game plan where you're looking at your personal business and deciding like, what actions do I really need to be doing? What actions are actually going to drive results for me? And so it's not a matter of like doing more. It's a matter of doing what's most important, doing what actually works.
Yes. And also, and I love your take on like the ROI, right? And I think that often when with new entrepreneurs, we think of ROI as like investing money.
Right.
But we need to remember the time, the energy too.
Absolutely.
Right?
And money is renewable. Like you can go make more money. Like you can go make more money. You can go like sell something right now on social media and make some extra money like today, but you're never going to get time back. You're like, time is the only resource that you don't get to make more of and that you don't get more of. So if you're looking at it as like what's most valuable, like I would say that your time is probably more valuable than the amount of money that you're making. So if you really want to look at like what a successful business looks like, is it really like how much money you're making, or is it how much money you're making compared to the time that you're spending making that money,
Yes. Oh my gosh, totally. I'm laughing because those Instagram captions that you write and like the emails that you write that you just like remember and stuff. Like a few years ago, I wrote an email that was like, quote unquote, money doesn't grow on trees. And then I was like, dot, 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 but it kind of does.
It kind of does. Yeah. Like it kind of does. Like you can absolutely go make more money and you can go like scale your business and you can go do all of those things. But are you ever going to have more time? And so I think like, it's really cool if you're making $100,000 a year, like that's awesome. Amazing. Right. But how much time did it take you to make that money? And is that return on investment like valuable?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be making, $60,000 a year with less time so that return on investment is actually more valuable because you are spending less time? And so like the dollar per hour that you're making, when you look at it that way, like what is it? Like that person that made the $100,000 in a year, like what if they were making only like $15 an hour for the amount of hours that they were actually putting in a day versus a person who maybe made $60,000, but they maybe were only, maybe they were only or had like $60 to the hour. That's a big difference. Yeah. And I don't think people really think about it that way. And I'm not saying that, as an entrepreneur, as someone who is, on social media and selling things that you shouldn't want to make more money. Absolutely. Like nobody's on here for like charity. Nobody's working their business and hoping like, I don't really care how much money I make. Like you want to make more money for sure. Absolutely. But is that what's really going to fulfill you? Is that really going to be we think that the more money is going to solve all the problems. It's going to solve all our issues. It's going to make us feel better. It's going to fix X, Y, and Z. And really like money, I think we should just be looking at it as a tool, as a resource to help us live the life that we want. And it's not necessarily the money that's going to do that. It's the actual moments that's going to do it. It's the things that you're going to get from the money that are actually going to bring you that fulfillment.
Oh, totally, lady. And you know what else popped up to me too, as you were like talking, and especially when you were talking about the big name entrepreneurs. I always think of the guy that you're talking about. And I always think of this other like big name woman in the social media space. And like, and I love them. I love so many things about both of them and their ideas and all this different stuff. But at the same time, it comes back to like, what do I value? Like, I don't value work over adventure, over spending time with my friends and my family
Yeah.
and going outside and doing all that stuff, And so it's like, yeah, I hear you saying like post reels a day, hustle, 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 all that different stuff. But it's like, but that's not what's going to make me happy. Like maybe you
Yeah.
value work, but like, that's not like my main value.
Right. And I think that's so important for people to really realize is like, what do you value? What's important to you? What is going to actually make you feel fulfilled? And I think that's why especially like moms have that guilt because they feel like they're supposed to like want the money. They're supposed to want like the success and the power and the fame and all those things and the titles and all that. And then they feel guilty when they're like hustling for these things and like family is crumbling. And I mean, like I was that person. So I fully understand it. And I've always considered myself to be ambitious. Like I've always thought that like I am a super ambitious person. I love working. Like I love what I do. I love it so much. And I had to get to a place where I was like, okay, Tiffany, but yes, you love your work, but what is really most important to you? Really most important to you? Is it going to like, and I know this like morbid, but like thinking about like when I'm like on my deathbed and I'm thinking about like my life and I'm like thinking about like what I did over my lifespan, am I going to be like, man, I'm so glad I hustled so hard and made so much money. Wow, that just really made my life so amazing. Or am I going to be like, I'm so glad that like my family was always the thing that drove my decisions, that I like can say that like when I'm gone, my girls are going to be like, that was my mom, like super proud of me and not like, yeah, my mom made a lot of money and we got to go on a lot of vacations and we had a big house. Like those things, like, I don't think anybody really thinks about those things, but like, if you really want to get like serious about shifting the energy behind what you're putting your focus on, it's to think about it that way.
Oh my gosh, totally. And I'm just like gobbling up everything that you're saying. I love it. And I'm so excited because like, I need to hear this. My listeners need to hear this, like all that different stuff. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand. I think about, especially when it comes to like motherhood and when it comes to like balancing work life and all that different stuff, like you have to create balance. Like it just doesn't happen. You have to be intentional about it.
Right. And then, like I take it a step further and I even say that like balance almost doesn't exist. And really what we should be doing is creating harmony, So like, it's hard because I think when we think about balance, we think about things being equal, and so it's like the balance of the scale. In order for the scale to be balanced, like both things have to be the same. Both things have to have the same weight, but in our lives, when we are thinking about like between our work and our life, like the life that we're living, what if there was a way to create harmony between those two things? And when you look at what harmony means, it means like a beautiful melody, like a immersion of those two things. And I think sometimes we try to keep them separate. We're like, this is my life and this is my business. What if it didn't have to be separate? What if you could have a business that was a part of your life, but it was in a way that it was adding to your life and not taking away from it?
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Okay. I'm going to like be mulling that over later. You know what I mean, I always like hear people say things. I'm like, ooh, okay, gotta think about that on the dog walk later.
Right. Yeah. You're like,
Um,
I'm going to be up at night thinking about this.
I love it. I love it so much. It makes so much sense. And this hits so much home for me too. I'm definitely prone to logical thinking. I like things to be neat and tidy, step by step. Like this is how it works. And I like things to be like black and white, like opinionated wise and stuff like that. And it's not like that. The world's not like that.
It's so hard because it would make life easier if that's how it was. Like if you could like compartmentalize things and just be like, this is that, and that is that, this is over there, and that's over here. Like, here's this and here's that. But that's not the way it is. Like there have been moments where I have, like a lot of my day is spent with my daughter in my lap while I'm, writing up an email or while I am, doing something for work and she is playing with me. And my 4-year-old now, she goes to preschool during the day. And so I'm home with my 1-year-old, but if my 4-year-old has a day off or like on the weekends, if I want to do something real quick, I'll like come in my office and she'll be like, oh, you're going to work, mommy? And I'm like, yeah. And I think it's so awesome that she gets to see that, like she gets to see her mom working and I'm at home though. And so she'll like go play right next to me in the playroom while I'm doing, my thing. And when she was little, she didn't understand it, right? Like she didn't understand it, but now that she's 4, she gets it. And I just remember like, there was this moment that just like really like hit my soul where she came in my office one evening while I was like doing something real quick. And she was playing in the playroom and she came in my office and she was like, and I asked her and I was like, what does mommy do for work? Like, I just wanted to see like from her little 4-year-old brain, what that looked like for her. And she said, you help people on the computer. And I just thought like, oh my gosh, like she knows that like I'm here because I want to help people. And in this world where like so much is going to digital and so much is going to doing things virtually, I think it's really awesome that she has this perspective that you can help people like digitally. And she gets to see that I'm doing that in a way that actually doesn't take away from her. It doesn't take away from what, she is getting from me. And I think it's just so cool,
So awesome, lady. And oh my gosh, I have to say this. So, guys, we're recording this in April of 2022. Probably when we share it, it'll be a little past this.
Yeah.
But, so I have a membership and we just hosted our monthly content planning workshops this week. And usually I do a roundup of the hashtag holidays and we laugh at the silly ones and we're like, oh, here's one we might be able to use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
April 23rd is Take Your Daughters and Sons to Work Day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was thinking like, how cute would it be? I literally like created a post about this yesterday. Like, how cute would it be to like record, like ask your son or daughter, like, what does mom do for work? And then record their answer and share it.
That is so cute. I love it. I love that. That is so cute. I think that would be so fun. But yeah, it's so fun just to like see where, how like the world is shifting. Like when my mom was, having me and my brother, like as little kids, she didn't have like social media. She didn't have this, none of this stuff was around. So I think about like when my daughter is, old enough to start a family, if she wants to, or, is old enough to start, a job, what is that going to look like for her? And I just really want to be an example for her because who knows what that is going, like what that is going to be. And I just really want to be an example for her that like, you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. Like you can have a job that you love. You can have a job that is successful for you and that fulfills you. And you can also be a really good mom, or you can be a really good, whatever else, you want to be in life. And it's not like a one or the other thing. Like you really can have it all when you do approach things from a place of looking at it from like, all right, what is going to fulfill me and what is important to me,
Yeah. Oh, I love this, lady. I love it so much. Okay. So let's just chat a little bit about social media marketing. I feel like I always get to the end of the conversation.
Yes. And we're like,
wait,
I should probably talk about like what the podcast is about.
Yeah. So, will you just like tell us, just like your approach to social media marketing and maybe a few of your like favorite tips and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my approach to social media marketing, and this all came from, that moment when my husband was like, you can't be on your phone all day.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, what can I do so that I am still having success on social media, but I'm not like having to actually be on there all day. And so I really started to create like systems. And so I now have a program that I call Soul Systems. And it's about, creating systems for your business that align with your soul, that are going to help you do things, just like what you talk about all the time, your way, do things in a way that feels good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of that is me looking at my days of the week and like what that looks like for my family and what that looks like in my lifestyle and planning my business around my day. So like on Wednesdays, my daughter has cheer practice. And I found just from my natural makeup that by Wednesday, I'm usually like I kind of like have like a drain that like comes out on Wednesday. And I kind of just like, whew, because I start my week so strong. That's just like my mindset. I'm just like, new week, fresh week, let's go. So Mondays are like my heavy day that I call them my heavy day. So that is where I'm doing a lot of stuff. So I am, getting in my inbox and making sure I'm caught up on messages and emails. And I'm, recording new podcast episodes. And I'm like doing the things on Monday because that feels good for me. And then on Tuesdays, I am, doing a little bit more, but Wednesdays is a really light day for me because I have my daughter's cheer practice after, she gets out of school. It's like the middle of the week. I'm kind of hitting that hump, I got hump day, trying to get over that hump. And so I'm like, I use that Wednesday as kind of like a reset day for my week. And so I really don't schedule much on Wednesdays. I like don't schedule podcast episodes. I don't really have anything heavy. Like I might like have like an email blast that might go out on Wednesdays, which is like quick, easy for me to do. Mm-hmm. But then on, Thursdays, I feel like energized again. And so I'm like revved up and I feel good enough to like go tackle more things. So Thursdays, I like pick it back up and I kick it up a notch and that kind of thing. And so I just have set up my activities for each day based on my life. And that's kind of what I was talking about when I said, like, you get to have harmony between the two and your business gets to add to your life. And it doesn't have to be something where you're like, oh man, sorry, like I can't because I got to work my business. Now you get to be like, okay, what is my life? Okay, how can I fit my business into these pieces of my life? And that's really my approach to social media, is looking at what is important to me value-wise for my family, for like, obviously, like I've talked about it so much, like family is really important to me, but like just whatever it is for you, like maybe that is, like you said, adventure. And so you want to make sure that you like that adventure isn't like a second thought after your business stuff happens. Like maybe that's the thing that you want to like plan around. So just like, what is important to you? What do you want to plan your business around? And then plugging in those business activities around that, rather than making your business the first thing. Like I always tell like my clients that do soul systems with me, like I always look at my day and I have like my soul systems. And if I don't get something done that day, I'm like, no problem. Like I'll do it tomorrow. Or like if my husband is like, hey, let's have a movie night. Let's go watch a movie. I don't want to be like, oh, sorry, I can't. Like, I really have to go do this thing for my business. I get to be like, let me look at my, what I have for today. Oh yeah. Like we can do that. Or like if he's off and he wants to go have like a lunch date, I can be like, yeah, sure. Like I can do that. Like I don't have to, it's not like something where I have to be like, oh no, my business, like I have all these things I'm supposed to do. Like it's so stressful. And it really has allowed me to have this business life immersion that feels so good for me. Mm-hmm. And it's made not only my business more successful, because it's made me become way more aware of the, like we were talking about, the ROI, those activities that are actually really important for my business. Mm-hmm. And it's also like been really fulfilling for my life, because now I don't have to cancel things or like turn people down for different things or those kinds of, I get to have both. And that feels so awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like the wiggle room.
The wiggle room. So yes.
And like, also, I think I always feel like, I mean, business was kind of created by, in general, white men, you know, and
Yep.
like, and so I think definitely I'm super, super excited because I do think it's shifting. And
It
honestly, I
is, yeah.
mean, the pandemic, I think kind of helped to like open up entrepreneurship and business to more people and all these
Yes.
different ideas and stuff too. But it's like, whenever I was starting it's just so funny. Like now looking back at the messaging that I was being blasted with of like, always be available. Like you don't want, like,
Mhm.
you can't, like the scarcity
The
mindset.
scarcity mindset, the masculine energy that like doesn't feel good a lot for women. Like there are certain pieces of it that are like important that I think we really need to connect with. Like, I know that I need to do things in my business to be successful. I can't be like, I'm just going to show up like when I want to. Like, if I like want to make this, I'm going to do it. And if I don't, then that's not really like going to work either. But
Mm-hmm.
finding that like middle ground of being like, okay, I know I need to do these things to be successful in my business, but also I want to do it in a way where it feels right for me. It feels good for me. And I don't have to do it the way that everyone has said. Like you said, like,
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like in America, like our whole world is created by white men and like everything has like tied back into like that energy. And when you think about it, like they had wives that were at home and all they did was take care of their kids. So of course, like they were able to be like, we're here all the time and we show up and we're able to X, Y, and Z all the time. And like, that's not reality anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
more than ever, women are having to work, to pay bills, like just to live a life. You like so many women, like there's just not enough, especially with inflation right now. Like it's crazy. And so I know there's
Mm-hmm.
so many people who are like, I can barely cover my basic needs. And you want me to now like have a full-time job. And you're telling me that if I want to have extra income so that I can take care of my family, I have to be like on social media 24/7. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of freedom in knowing like it doesn't have to look like that.
Yeah. And like, exactly. It's like taking on like the roles, like go, like opening yourself up to new opportunities that like we haven't like always had through history, but then we're being forced into this role that was created by these men who had all these resources. And
Yeah.
we're not letting go of the roles that we had as well. So it's like
Yes, it's like
doubling
just
everything
adding
up.
more on,
Yeah.
adding more and more on. It's like, okay, at first you were just a stay-at-home mom. Like at first you just had to cook, clean, take care of the kids. Now you have to cook, clean, take care of the kids, and go to work. And you need
And
to cook, clean, yeah, right? It's just like and more and more, and there's nothing being taken away. And so
mhm.
there's just all these things piled on top, and it's like you're covered and you can't breathe. It's like, okay, no, like take some of those things off. Like it's okay. Like if you take some of those things off, like I felt guilty when I first like thought about putting my 4-year-old in preschool because I'm like, but I'm home all day and like I should be able to like do it and all these things. And like I should like that will make me such a bad mom. And I'm just like, no, like when I think about it, like I am working a full-time job. Like me doing this is a full-time job. And if I were going outside of my home to work a full-time job, I wouldn't be like, oh, like my daughter should just stay with me at my full-time. Like, no, like I would know that she needs to be in daycare for me to be able to do my job successfully. And so it's
Mhm.
just, I think a lot of it is untraining our brains to think about things the way that society has trained us to think about things,
Mhm. Yes. And like giving yourself freaking credit for like the things that
Yes.
you do.
Yes. Credit and grace, like
Yes. Ugh.
not feeling like you're a failure if you're not keeping up with all of these things. It's just like no one could, that's like,
Mhm.
giving yourself more credit for the things that you are doing and giving yourself grace for the things that you feel like you're falling behind on.
Yes. Oh my gosh, lady. I love it so much. And I'm going to have to stop our conversation, but
I
like,
know.
I love talking to you.
Me
Like we might
too.
have to do a second round at some point.
Let's do it. I am so in because I just feel like there's like so much that we have not even tapped into that we could just keep going and going.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Can you please share where everyone can connect with you and find out more about you? Because I know they'll want to do that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a podcast called Cash In on Confidence that you can find talking all about social selling and, a lot of what we just talked about today, doing things differently. And you can find me on Instagram at the Tiffany Wynn. And my Facebook VIP group is tiffanywynnvip.com.
Yay. Thank you so much, honey. I so appreciate the chat and I've loved it.
I have loved it too. Thank you so much for having me.
How wonderful was Tiff? You guys, I know that I say that after every single interview, but it's seriously every conversation. This conversation was so, so wonderful. I know that you gleaned some awesome tips and information from everything that Tiff was dishing up. So make sure that you connect with us over on Instagram because we would love to keep the conversation going over there. I'm at Feel Good Social. Tiffany is at the Tiffany Wynn. Check the show notes for the spelling. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, my friend. I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.